All right, let's talk about turning fear into math. In trading, how do you separate just pure guesswork from actual precision? Well, today we are going to dive into the one equation that does exactly that.
Okay, every single trader knows this feeling. You've been there, right? You hit a brutal string of losses and that little voice in your head just starts screaming. Is my strategy totally broken? Did I just lose my touch? Is this whole thing just garbage? It's just this awful, gut-wrenching feeling of uncertainty.
But what if? What if there was a way to just completely silence that doubt? I'm talking about a single metric, one number that proves you have a real profitable edge, even if you have a few bad days. Well, guess what? There is, and this is it.
All right, section 1, the expectancy equation. And let me tell you, this is the only metric that really matters. This isn't just another fancy indicator you slap on a chart. No. This is the foundational math that tells you whether you even have a reason to be clicking the buy or sell button in the first place.
So what is expectancy exactly? Well, think of it like this. It's the exact amount of money you should mathematically expect to make on average every single time you place a trade. It's not a guess, it's not a hope, it's the cold, hard, statistical prediction of your performance, all boiled down into one single powerful number.
And here it is, the formula itself. It looks simple, and honestly, it is. It's just your win rate times your average win minus your loss rate times your average loss. See, it just perfectly combines the only two things that actually matter: how often you win and how much you make when you're right, versus how often you lose and how much you lose when you're wrong. So let's actually put this thing to work.
Okay, part 2, calculating your edge with a real-world example. Theory is great and all, but let's make this real. We're going to walk through this step by step using the kind of data you should absolutely be tracking in your own trading journal.
All right, so here's our data. Let's imagine we've backtested a strategy over 100 trades. We've got a 40% win rate. Now, to a beginner, 40% might sound not so great, right? You're wrong more than you're right. But look closer. Our average win is $250, and our average loss is only $100. That relationship, that is the secret sauce right there.
Okay, first step is super simple. We just figure out the probabilities. If our win rate is 40%, then yeah, our loss rate has to be the other 60%. Easy enough, right? Now let's go ahead and plug all these numbers into our formula. So we take our win rate, that's 0.40, and multiply it by our average winning trade, which is $250. Then from that, we're going to subtract the other side of the equation, our loss rate, 0.60, times our average losing trade of $100.
And here's where it all clicks. That first part comes out to $100. The second part is 60. So think about it like this. Your winning trades are like a profit engine, generating an average of $100. And your losing trades? That's just the cost of doing business, which is $60. The math is crystal clear. As long as your engine is making more than it costs to run, you're in the green.
And boom, there it is, our final answer, a positive $40. This number is everything. It means that for every single trade you place with this strategy, win or lose, your mathematical expectation over the long run is a profit of $40. This is your edge. This is your proof written in plain numbers.
All right, section 3, from math to mindset, surviving losing streaks. Okay, so we have our number, plus $40. That's great, but so what? How does a number on a spreadsheet actually help you deal with that fear we talked about? Well, let's connect the dots.
Let's go right back to that nightmare scenario. You've just lost 5 trades in a row. 5! At $100 a pop, you are down $500. The pressure is on big time. And that temptation to just quit, or even worse, to start messing with your strategy, it's overwhelming. But this is where your expectancy number becomes your anchor. You're down $500, and that fear is real, I get it. But then you remember the math. You remember that plus $40. Over the next 100 trades, the math still projects a $4,000 gain. That 5-trade losing streak, it's not a sign your strategy is broken. It's just a little dip, a statistically inevitable part of the journey. It is a drawdown, not a disaster. And this is what it's all about. It turns fear into cold, calculated execution. I mean, that quote from the source material just nails it, right? When you know your number, you can trust your process. You can just keep executing your plan with discipline, even when it feels awful, because you have the mathematical proof that your edge is real. Okay, let's take a little bit of a deeper look here. Expectancy is obviously a foundational metric, but it is just an average. The source material points out a couple of nuances that are worth knowing. So let's touch on those real quick. So there are actually 2 types of expectancy. The one we just calculated is called arithmetic expectancy. It's perfect if you risk the same fixed dollar amount on every trade. But if you risk a fixed percentage of your account, you'd use what's called geometric expectancy, which accounts for compounding. The main takeaway here is just to know that how you size your positions really matters for your long-term results. The core idea is the same, though. You have to know your numbers.
You know, there's this great marble game analogy in the source that explains this perfectly. Imagine you have a bag of marbles. You know for a fact that there are 60 winning marbles and only 40 losing ones. You know you have an edge, right? But here's the thing. You have absolutely no idea what you're going to pull out next. You could pull out 10 losing marbles in a row. It's totally possible. That's what trading is like. Expectation tells you that if you keep pulling marbles, you'll win in the end. It just doesn't tell you the sequence.
All right, let's wrap this up. We're on our last section here, your foundational metric. And let's be absolutely crystal clear about this. Expectancy isn't just some nice-to-have metric. It is the absolute, non-negotiable foundation of any viable trading strategy, period.
So what are the key takeaways here? First, expectancy is your average profit or loss per trade over time. It's that simple. Second, it is the mathematical proof of your trading edge. It's not a feeling, it's a number. Third, knowing this number is probably the best tool you have to manage the crazy psychology of winning and losing. And finally, and maybe most importantly, if your strategy doesn't have a positive expectancy, it is simply not worth trading. Full stop.
So there you have it. You have the equation. And really, the only question left is the most important one of all. Do you know your numbers? If the answer is no, then that's your new mission. Go find out. Go turn that fear into math.